All right, so we have got WormFX here, and we started working together about 3 months ago now, and a lot has happened since we first connected. So Faison, he already had the expertise, the knowledge, and we've now built the offer, the delivery process, the internal systems, the sales team, and in the last 30 days, you've done, is it 21K?
Yep, 20K. We crossed the 20K threshold. Really excited. First time ever launching an offer like this. So yeah, it's a pretty big deal.
Lovely stuff. And I mean, considering we started everything from scratch, that is like, a really good result. And so today we're going to be going through how he's achieved this and the exact process that we use to take his knowledge and turn it into a profitable business that doesn't require him in every step. First question would just be like, do you want to give everyone watching a kind of overview of what it is you do, who you are, and how you kind of go?
Yeah, so I'll go by WormFX. I'm a day trader, been trading for over a decade. But just haven't really found a way to create an offer that I can present, a high ticket offer at that, present to my audience and have a lot of conversions. That's exactly what Samson did. Took us from not having anything. We cleaned up the Instagram profile, and I immediately saw results right away. Just from cleaning up the Instagram profile.
Awesome. And so I guess like when we first spoke and we first connected, I guess, what kind of position were you in? Because I know that you had obviously maybe tried to launch some kind of, offer around mentorship and teaching people what you know in terms of your trading. I guess, where were you at when we first connected?
So when we first met, I had a lot of demand, but I didn't really have any type of structure, and nothing was automated. So it felt like I was just kind of spread thin to the point where I was doing everything. I was juggling a lot of hats. But because of me being introduced to you and following your role and your leadership, we were able to construct the Instagram profile, attract the audience that I want, and just make people aware leading up to the launch what it is that we're going to do and what all it entails. So that was pretty cool.
Awesome. Okay, and I guess like when obviously there's tons of other people out there that you could potentially work with. What was it specifically, I guess, about our conversation and your interactions with me that made you want to go ahead with myself over someone else?
Well, it was when I was telling you what it is that I was trying to accomplish. I didn't have to repeat myself a bunch of different times. You were able to absolutely understand, comprehend what it is that I wanted to do and repeat it back to me, and immediately had some type of structure or guidance behind that. So it wasn't a guessing game. You knew exactly what works and what doesn't work, and was able to tailor a strategy specifically to my industry that can get us from zero to a launch in 30 days, which was spectacular in my opinion.
Quick turnaround, right?
Yeah, they're immediate.
Love to see it. Awesome. And so I guess what I would want to ask is, obviously we do a range, we've implemented the system, we've helped you hire, we've built the funnels, the landing pages, the tracking systems, the content across the board, right? Mm-hmm. Which do you think specifically was the most impactful part of the service for yourself?
Probably the content. I know when we created those carousels for the story, immediately we had I've never had so much demand, and they wanted to know what the offer was. And before I thought you just had to make a post and just tell them what it was, but you quickly taught me that there's steps to a launch that you have to follow to get the best results. So I think that was probably the biggest takeaway, was just showing that you need to nurture your audience, which I really didn't quite understand, but you taught me how to do that as well. And then once it broke down how the sales funnel, how it works all together. It's more than just a landing page and running ads on it. And that is stuff that you can apply and implement on any industry altogether. So if I grow and decide to have another offer in the future that might not be about trading, based on the knowledge that you gave me, I can use that. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like that's a super key thing for anyone watching. A lot of the times it's those core processes where you see the real difference in terms of you already had like a decent sized audience. The key thing is that they didn't really know how you could help them. And by creating, intentional content that moves them closer to that offer, as long as you've got, the people in place to turn that into booked calls, the positioning, as long as that's in place, and obviously the little things in between each step, then you're going to see a really good result every time. So yeah, I think that's really important. Okay, next thing would be in terms of, I guess, like AI. Obviously, we've done a few things. It's a core part of our service. I guess if you compare your understanding or maybe what you thought was possible beforehand, I guess, how has that maybe changed over the last few months?
Well, you single-handedly showed me how you can use AI to help stay organized, first of all, you can automate a lot of your processes, especially with your sales team. So for instance, like what we implemented, I don't want to give too much sauce away, but definitely what you implemented as far as streamlining from a book calls to relaying that information to the rest of the sales team immediate to where everyone is aware of who's booked, even based on some of the criteria that people have to fill out to tell everyone what it is, who it is we're working with as well. So to automate that process and to translate all that information to everyone that might not be in the same room or even in the same city, you created software also for me in my mentorship that helps clients once they do get on board that they can go ahead and go back and forth with. It's tailored specifically to my offer. So that, I mean, I gave you a ton of information and you were able to dissect that into something like that, which is pretty cool. I've never seen anybody else do that. That's why I got to be careful with what I say. But when your clients get on board, they can ask a little bit more about that. But that is definitely a hack that my clients, after they get on board, they are very grateful for and use it every single day. So yeah.
Awesome. And I always think that that's one of the key things that we try and use AI for, is to make everything just easier. Everything that you need to do, your delivery, your sales, your content, it should be playing into every single step and just making what already works and what's really good just, more, better, easier, like all of that. Cool. Okay. And then I guess a good question would be, obviously there's a lot of people out there who maybe have some kind of expertise, they have some kind of knowledge in a certain degree, but maybe they think that, they can put together the offer themselves and that's kind of the route. I guess in your experience, what do you think the main things were that stopped you from launching something like this just on your own as it was?
Yeah, I think it's really about, you don't know what you don't know, right? You can watch a ton of YouTube content on how to create an offer like I did, and you're still going to run across people that have a bit more experience that invested in themselves to learn and comprehend what works and what doesn't work. And that is what you're really investing in. You're not really investing in just launching an offer and having some type of launch campaign. You're investing in someone that can teach you how to manage it yourself after you move on also. So I think the biggest takeaways between you and a lot of other competitors, you're not just doing all the information for them, you're essentially holding their hand and help guiding them to where they can retain that information that you're teaching them so they can manage their own business going forward. So that's valueless in my opinion. And I know it took a lot of time for you to understand it. So any potential clients, just rest assured that you're in good hands, because the information that you take away from Samson, you're not going to be able to get it from anywhere else. That's a fact.
Man, I really do. And it's the same thing with every offer in terms of there's always things that, like, for example, trading, I'm no expert, right? I know what I know and I'm not going to pretend I know everything, right? But when it comes to understanding how that plays into actually building this kind of profitable business, like, we've got the formula. As long as you give us the understanding, then we're good to go. So obviously we've done a lot over the last few months. We've got the team in place now. We've got a lot of things cooking up over the next few months. You've obviously got, some in-person masterminds that you've done. You've got your weekly calls. There's tons going on. And so I guess what I would want to know is, how do you feel, looking ahead into the next 3 months and the next 3 months after that? I guess just, are you confident in the business model now, and where can you see yourself getting to in the next kind of period of time?
Yeah, I'm confident in what we have, what we're working with and what we have today. I think a little bit more awareness, and I need to focus more on what it is I need to do so I can hold it my part and my responsibilities. And it's cool because, like I said before, you don't know what you don't know. But now that I know what it is that it takes and the information I need to push out all the way from, you might not need to spend all that. You might not need to have a crazy high editing budget, right? You can purpose that budget for possibly driving traffic for your ad campaigns. But just simplifying things and just automating as much as you can is what's going to help this business scale. And that's what I need to focus on more. Just paying attention, looking at the data to see what works, because you automated that as well, from CRMs to everything else, go high level. I got to look at everything, and then now we can tailor what it is that works and scale from there.
Definitely. And in terms of the business, I guess, how important was it for you to ensure that you weren't, I guess, involved in every single step?
I really wasn't that involved in every step, which is pretty neat, because you were able to kind of manage a lot of the stuff on the back end and just kind of show up with, for instance, like the launch campaign, right? we had 2 launch sequences, and I didn't have to worry about editing. I didn't have to worry about anything else but just posting, scheduling and posting. You even set up a calendar to tell me what day we need to post what. So again, it's a lot of the legwork is done. It's really up to the client, myself, right, to follow through and make sure we do what it is we're supposed to do in a timely manner, so that way everything can go smoothly. So it was really hands-on to let me focus on my business and focus on the content and the mentorship all together, instead of me having to juggle a bunch of different hats to make sure everything's running smoothly. So that was a big help. And I quite honestly, I don't think we could have gotten this far without your help in that case. That's for sure.
Just how would you compare in general to any other person that you've worked with before in maybe a similar degree, if you have?
I've never worked with anybody else before. And if I do decide to work with anybody else in the future, the standards are going to be pretty high, right? Because you definitely help. I'm not going to say like hold. I keep repeating this, right? Like I keep saying like you're walking us through this path of launching a course, but that's what a lot of people need. It's just like my offer. It's not here's the stuff. Good luck, right? Reach out to me if you need help. Some people need a little bit more hands-on stuff, but those people that crave that leadership are going to be long lasting, and it's going to build long lasting relationships as well. And you're going to be able to get better results because those clients actually understand what it is and why we're doing certain things, in my opinion. So same thing with my offer. I don't want to just throw trading content at people and have them just go study it and watch the modules and say good luck. I need to explain the what and the why behind it, and it's going to be easy for them to retain it. I'm going to see much better results out of my customers as well. So that's the key difference between you and a lot of these other people with these the agency offers.
Awesome. Perfect. Okay. And then very last thing is just, what would you say to someone who's maybe on the fence about working with myself?
Yeah. What you're investing in leadership. You're not just investing in the outcome, you're investing in the CEO themselves. And just like when you're buying, just referencing the stocks, right? When you're buying different stocks and you're investing in these companies, you're not buying the product, you're buying and investing into the CEO. And that's what you're doing when you're locking with Samson. You're investing in somebody that knows the ins and out of the business, they know what works, they're willing to try different things, they're willing to listen, they'll go back and do research and the information that you feed them to see if they can come up with a better strategy. But that's who you're investing in, and I can promise you're gonna get your results. You promised me, you said, man, based on what we had, I see no reason why we can't hit 20,000. And when you said it, I was kind of like, and to be honest with you, we made some adjustments on my end. We lowered the price of our high ticket offer just because we're moving some things around and trying different things. But we would have blew past that place order and that milestone. We would have blew past it just in the first couple clients. So I will say that if you're on the fence, man, you just need to go ahead and move forward because you're wasting time looking anywhere else.
Listen, I really appreciate that. Honestly, it's been a pleasure working together. And 20K is literally only the start. Like, this guy's going to be at probably 100K a month in no time by iterating on what we've already built. And so I guess final thing that I'll say to anyone watching is, number one, if you're in a similar situation, feel free to book a call down below. Number two, if you're a trader and you need to take it to the next level, I've never seen a trader as good as this guy. Okay, I've seen the inside, seen the systems behind the scenes. I've helped him build out the offer. So just know that you're getting a program that is not only his knowledge, but it's my structuring and systemized approach. And like, that's going to get you great results in the trading space. So can't recommend him enough. But honestly, thank you so much for the feedback. And yeah, all the best.
Yes, sir. I'm excited to see you posted. And like I said, I was hoping when we first got, I should have said this in a video. When we first got into it, we said that. I was like, man, I want to be a good case study. I want this to, I think the results are going to be pretty neat. And any aspiring traders that, they've already learned this stuff already and they want to create an offer, man, I hope they run across you. And I'm going to recommend you too, because it can be a bit overwhelming.
Yeah, bro, it's a lot. And like, honestly, it's been so good because I was so confident when we met. I was like, there's no way I can't get this guy a good result.